let's take a look at the build you just saw in the ISA using a Jem'hadar Vanguard Carrier T6. I'm not the greatest carrier user, so this might not be the greatest build, but it worked alright. Did 110K DPS, so let's go over the build. The 4 weapons, I use the Advanced Piezo Polaron dual cannons, and I use a Polaron dual cannon pen and 2 others, the same. Then for the deflector, I use the Elite Fleet Intervention Protomatter deflector array from the Fleet Colony. Then I use for the impulse engines the prevailing fortified impulse engines. And for the warp core, I use the Terran Task Force Quantum Capacitor. I personally like this core. It's maybe not the greatest. The Elite Fleet core is also a very good option, or since I'm already running the other 2-piece competitive, the competitive core would be great for the 3-piece. Then the 2-piece prevailing innervated resilient shield array with the competitive reputation. And the 2-piece gives you a hull capacity, control expertise, and weapon specialization. Then for the aft weapons, I use 2 Polaron turrets with pen. Then for the devices, I use my standards, the red matter capacitor, the subspace field modulator, and the energy amplifier battery. Then for the consoles, I use the DPRM console, which is pretty much a basic or standard DPS console by now. Expensive on the Fed, a lot cheaper on the Romulan and KDF sides. Then I use the console universal piezo electric focuser from the Lucari reputation, same as that cannon, which gives Polaron damage, flight turn rate, and shield capacity. And the 2-piece it gives is 15% Polaron weapon damage and photon damage and drain expertise. Then for the science consoles, I use the binaural infusion circuits for the critical severity and hull capacity, the universal domino console from the Bajoran, this is a low-buy console by the way, the Bajoran interceptor console, the domino for the accuracy rating and the clicky. Then another low-buy console, the tachyonic converter for the flight turn rate, critical chance, and severity. Then I use the assimilated module from the Omega, the Borg reputation for the critical chance, severity, and the universal hostile acquisitions from the new DS9 lockbox for the accuracy rating. And the clicky is nice on a boss. And then I use 4 vulnerability locators Polaron and 2 Elite Jem'hadar Vanguard gunboats. My stats sitting still. Then we go to skills, which is the setup I use a lot. Here it shows that I'm not built for carriers. You could take these off and put them here, makes your carriers a lot better. And also here you can, instead of using the threat decrease, which I do, you can use the hanger weaponry to make your hangers more powerful. I would not advise doing this one because the battery expertise is just so good, so I would not change this one to hanger health. As well as this will help the hanger health anyway. Hull capacity, defense, and damage. So that would be the minor change I'd have here, is move these over to here. This is still from before I ran Oxtabat builds, so these are not necessary anyway. Then specializations, I use Miracle Worker Strategist. Intelligence and Miracle Worker are both great. Miracle Worker I survive better in pugs with Miracle Worker, so that's why I use that. And for traits, I have Context is for Kings, Anchored, Operative, Fluidic Cocoon, A Good Day to Die, which almost every tactical officer should have, to be completely honest. Accurate, just testing that out. Cannon Training, Fleet Coordinator, and Inspirational Leader. Then Starship traits, the emergency weapon cycles, again one of those traits, if you have the ship, get it and use it, it's just awesome. Then Withering Barrage, not using Go for the Kill because I don't own the ship that gives it, so I'm using the Withering Barrage version, which is the Cannon Scatter Volley and not the Cannon Rapid Fire. Then I use Honor Death from the, I think it's the Discovery lockbox, got it from the exchange. Then Cold Hearted, which is from the, what is it? The Breen Escort from the Winter event or the Anniversary. Very great trade together with Oxtabat, although I'm not running a full Oxtabat build. I'm getting close to it because of the cooldown the healing gives on engineering abilities, which includes Oxtabat. So that is how I compensate for only having one Oxtabat, but we'll get into that later. Then the space reputation traits, the Oxtabat or auxiliary power to damage, controlled countermeasures with procs together with cold-hearted enemies, then precision for the crit chance, and advanced targeting for the crit severity, and energy review conserve for the healing when firing. Then the active reputations are again always the standard, get all the space ones. Then we go to stations. Another reason why I don't like this ship a lot is I can only slot one SRO. If I, well, yeah, I can only slot one SRO, or I can put two, but then I'd have one engineering ability, and I'm not gonna make it with just one engineering ability. So this is the setup I went with. Naoto Uhura, a Krenim Engineer, again also to cool down that Oxtabat 1 ability as much as possible. And a Pirate Psy and a Pirate Efficient Psy, Potato Head from the Alliance's mission. Then I use Emergency Power to Weapons 1 to get the trait proc as well, this thing happening. And then Oxtabat for the Cold Hearted. And like I said, I use the Krenim and other things to cool down this as much as possible, to have the uptime as much as possible. Then I use Chemicide Laced Weaponry 1, Attack Baron Beta 1. I use Beta 1 especially because, I do still use Beta because I have a DOF that helps me survive because of Beta. And then Scatter Volley 2. Then Engineering Team 1, Science Team 1, Hazard Emitters 2. Intelligence Team 1, Override Subsystem Safeties 2, and Override Subsystem Safeties 3. And then the part I'm not a Psi guy, so I just put in Subspace Vortex and Destabilize Resonance Beam. These are some of the abilities I don't mind as much. I don't like using Gravity Well because I'm not good at controlling when to use them, so I don't use that much. So that is the stations. Then we still have the active space DOFs. Chance for crit severity on firing weapons. Space increases damage versus Borg. Attack Baron Beta restores hull when firing. That's why I need Beta, because yeah, surviving. And 3 technicians to make this Oxtabat work. That is this build. I hope this was useful. It may not be the best, but it definitely works. See you in the next one, and like and subscribe.
you.